It's been a little while, but we finally have a new and fairly large Path of Titans public test branch update to sink our teeth into. From the Struthi TLC to chat updates and pounce updates, this is the full rundown of the latest update. The Struthi has received some updates on the public test branch of the game, and since this is likely one of the next major updates for the game, it to me is the most important to be covered. So what is there to be updated? Firstly, they've reduced Struthio's fall speed minorly to fix it not taking consistent damage. Now, I believe reducing the fall damage speed or the fall speed technically reduces the fall damage, right? Because you're hitting the ground with less speed or something like that. That's what I see it as. I'm not actually too sure, but either way, if that is the tweak, it's pretty nice. Yeah, more consistent fall damage, but also, you know, you're taking slightly less as a benefit, I guess, if it's that way round. That being said, there is another change. There's actually 3 more changes, but On Alert has been moved to the head slot, so they've also removed the extra passive slot for it. Also, it auto unlocks at 0 growth. Now, before, Struthio didn't have a head slot because when the TLC came, there was no head slot. But now there is a head slot. On Alert has been moved there, so now you have 2 passive abilities and 1 passive head slot ability. It's still a passive, and I feel like it's going to be one of those things you're not even going to be concerned about unless, of course, unless they add something to the head slot where you have to decide whether you want On Alert or you want something else, you know, the other option. But at the moment, there's only one option there, and that is On Alert, so I wouldn't be worried there. They've also added VFX for Struthi's abilities. I think it's mainly ties to 2 abilities because I've tried this on the combat calls, the survival calls, and some other stuff. There is no VFX with them, which I would have expected. On Alert has updated its graphics, however. Its graphics look different for On Alert, but I wouldn't say that's a visual effects. The next visual effect is tied to the dust off ability, which I thought already had one, but this one just looks a little bit better. And also Slipstream has a visual effect now as well. Speaking of Slipstream, they've updated the Slipstream ability animation, and overall that ties into the new VFX changes as well. But yeah, not the biggest updates for Struthio, but they are quite substantial nevertheless. 4 new features have been brought into the PTB for you all, one of which is more so of a controversial change, and we'll get to that in a moment. But the first one is updates to the chat box. They've improved the chat box and added additional accessibility options, including adjustable chat height and width, adjustable chat font size to 12 and 18, adjustable chat opacity, and a separate chat background opacity option as well, and a hide/show timestamps. This is all done in the social settings menu on the game's settings. This is fairly customizable in the sense of the chat font size. You can also enable or disable timestamps. They've updated Pounce as well. And this is the thing where I think it's a little bit, you know, ropey. It's not looking good, bruv. Latched creatures can no longer take damage from attacks performed by the creature they are latched onto. Now, for you latchers, you know, you raptors that latch onto people, this is a godsend. This is amazing. For people who get latched onto, this is terrible, because the only way you're able to get them off you or, well, kill them or damage them while they're on you, which was already quite tough depending on the dinosaur you were, is getting a friend to hit you, which also means you take damage as well. Or you can just wait for them to unlatch and do a perfectly timed attack, and, you know, then you're sorted. But having them be able to damage you and everything while they're on you and you can't damage them back is very weird, especially when some dinosaurs can reach around and bite them. I don't know. Status effects now display as filling. In addition to the timer, this is so it is clearer if the player reaches the cap for any status effect. And finally, they've added a setting in the graphics settings to manage the max number of footprints. Now, I looked in the settings, the graphics menu, I couldn't find this setting. So if anyone can find it, let me know in the comments. But yeah, that seems to be something that's coming anyways. There are a handful of new stuff for server owners. You've got 3 fixes and you've got 2 new additions. You've got the added critter burrows as creator mode items, added creator mode objects for mud and reeds, fixed various abilities causing server log spam, fixed no-growth servers can occasionally have health set incorrectly upon exiting the tutorial cave, and fixed curve overrides not completely pulling from CSVs/list curves now generates the correct values. Additionally, the output for /list curves has been changed to be natively compatible with the game.ini override feature. Now let's skirt back a little bit. Let's talk about these creator mode items. You've got two different ones here, technically more than two. Let's start with the burrows, because the critter burrows are placeable. You can place burrows for the frogs, Didelphodon, Platyhystrix, Paleosanoa, and the rat. All of these burrows are different. They all spawn certain creatures. Depending on which one you've placed down, they do not spawn random creatures. That being said, you can set in the options for these burrows the creatures to auto respawn. Now obviously this is probably after like a set amount of time. You kill the critter, or they dig back into the ground and go back into the burrow, and then if someone's nearby, they'll just automatically pop up and run around. This is good for those servers that kind of want critters to just be auto spawning and free roaming. Technically they'll be free roaming, just they may take a little while to respawn. You can tweak the distance in which they spawn far from the player as well. I think, it's different values there, but it's pretty neat. That being said, for reeds and mud, this is interesting. These come in two forms, the picked up form and the actual object itself. Now it looks like these have food values that you can slide and change, and that depends on how much of it you can pick up. Maybe dinosaurs in the future will be able to eat these items, but of course, not too sure. That being said, in my eyes, this could tie into a little theory. Yeah, we have nests already in the game, pre-placed down, but if they're adding nests for people to build, the option to build nests, you need some construction materials, and mud and reeds. They are two pretty sound construction materials for your nests. So perhaps it could tie into that. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now we got some fixes and additions to round off this video with. We got two new additions. They've added sounds to Camptosaurus's drinking animation, and they've added mud and reeds that can be found in the world alongside with their added corresponding held item as well, which is pretty cool. Obviously, these are the biomes that I found them in, if I can find any in time, and I'll have them listed here. But also, take a listen to this brand new Camptosaurus drinking sound. Eating critters, fixed clamp breaking if player tries to grab something too large, fixed replay menu not having a loading dinosaur animation, fixed stackable abilities that do not requiring grouping stack to 2 on single player. That made no sense to me when I read that out, but it's coming to me. They've fixed many UI animation bugs and fixed being able to pounce on a player that was still loading in. And that's all the fixes and the two additions as well. Let me know your thoughts about these in the comments down below. But of course, that wraps up this update overview for this relatively small update overview for the public test branch. The latest update. It looks like that Struthi OTLC is kind of rounding out now. We could probably expect to see that in the near future, probably by the end of June. That's my thoughts, and I'm going to drop a prediction video for what I think the next update could entail soon. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think will be in the next update? If you want to check out another video, I recommend this one, which goes over the latest devlog for this game's rival, the Isle, and it's got a new update coming, if you want to keep your eye out for that. Anyways, hope you enjoyed. I'll see you later. Peace.